Happy Valentine's Day. This is our February reading. It's a story about 3,000 years old, Orpheus and Eurydice. When Orpheus was a little boy, he received a lyre from Apollo, the sun god. The 9 muses, the spirits of art and poetry, taught Orpheus how to play. Orpheus fell in love with music. He sat in the forest, hour after hour, practicing on his lyre. Soon, Orpheus played well enough to create his own songs. They were so beautiful that farmers stopped plowing in their fields to listen. Shepherds stopped herding their flocks. Even fishermen, far off in the ocean, stopped pulling in their nets to listen to the beautiful music of Orpheus. Animals, too, came to listen. Wolves, bears, and lions emerged from the forest when Orpheus sang. They sat beside him with their heads in his lap. Snakes twined about his feet. Even trees and rocks began to dance as Orpheus played. When Orpheus grew up, he took part in a great adventure called the Quest for the Golden Fleece. Soon after his return, he fell in love. Eurydice was the young woman's name. She was a kind, gentle person who lived in the forest. Eurydice knew all of Orpheus's songs by heart. She and Orpheus would sing them together. Their love for each other made the songs even more beautiful. They held their wedding in an ancient temple. Apollo and the Muses came. As the ceremony began, all the torches began to sputter. Smoke filled the temple, stinging the eyes of the guests. They began to weep. Tears at a wedding are a terrible omen. They meant that a dreadful fate awaited the happy couple. The omen proved true. Eurydice was walking through the forest when a snake bit her ankle. Poison rushed through her veins, and she fell down on a pile of leaves. By the time Orpheus found her, she had died. Her spirit flew to the underworld to join the souls of the dead. Heartbroken, Orpheus vowed to follow her. I will go down to the realm of the dead. I will find my bride and bring her back. Orpheus journeyed to the cave that led to the underworld. He forced his way through crowds of spirits waiting to cross the river Styx. Go back! No living being can come here, shouted Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Cerberus, the 3-headed watchdog, bared his teeth and growled. Orpheus, unafraid, took up his harp and began to play. He sang of his love for Eurydice and how much he missed her. Orpheus's song brought tears to Charon's eyes. Cerberus threw back his 3 heads, and began to howl. The spirits of the dead, who had left behind all feelings of love, joy, and sorrow, began to weep. I will take you across, said Charon. You may speak to Hades, our king, and his wife, Persephone. Let them decide what is to be. Orpheus sang and played his harp as he walked through the dark passages. Cries and groans ceased as the whole underworld paused to listen to his beautiful music. Orpheus came before Hades, the lord of the dead. I've come to plead for my bride, Eurydice. Her life was cut short. Have pity on us. Let me take her back to the land of the living. If not, allow me to remain here in your kingdom so we may be together. I cannot help you, said Hades. You are still alive. Living souls cannot remain here. This is the land of the dead. Your bride, Eurydice, is dead. The dead can never return to those they left behind. Orpheus began to weep. He took up his harp and began to play, turning his sorrow into song. Tears ran down the face of grim Hades. The stone walls of the cavern trembled as the lord of the underworld wept. Tears flowed from the eyes of Persephone, his queen. As Orpheus's song ended, Persephone spoke. You are wrong, my husband, she said to Hades. Do I not return to the world of the living every year? Take pity on Orpheus and his bride. What have we to lose? They will live out their lives and return to us, eventually. Let them taste of joy and love while they can. Her words melted the heart of Hades. Summon her spirit, he commanded. Eurydice's spirit came forward among the crowd of dead souls. She limped on the wounded foot that the snake had bitten. Her pale face brightened when she saw Orpheus. Is that you, Orpheus? She cried. It is I. I have come to bring you back to the land of the living. Take Eurydice with you to the world above, Hades told Orpheus. Walk in front of her. She will follow you. Remember, you must not turn around to look at her until you both reach the upper world. If you so much as glance at Eurydice while you are both still in my kingdom, her spirit will return to the realm of the dead, never to depart. With Persephone's blessing, Orpheus and Eurydice set out on the path that would lead them to the land of the living. Orpheus walked ahead. Eurydice followed behind. Crowds of dead souls parted to let them pass. Charon, the ferry boat man, was waiting. He ferried them to the river's opposite shore. Cerberus wagged his tail. His 3 heads licked Orpheus's hand as he passed. Orpheus never spoke a word to Eurydice throughout their long journey. He walked silently through the shadows, never stopping to look back. One by one he climbed the steep steps that led to the mouth of the cave. He rushed into the sunlight. "We are here, Eurydice! You have come back to life again," Orpheus shouted. He turned around to see his bride. Alas, he had spoken too soon. Eurydice was still standing inside the cave. One step more and she would have been in the sunlight. Too late. Orpheus caught a final glimpse of Eurydice's loving face. She called to him, but he could not hear her words. Then she disappeared. Broken with sorrow, Orpheus hid himself in the deepest part of the forest. Day and night he wept as he played his harp, singing for his lost Eurydice, who he would not see again until he, too, made the journey to Hades. Thank you. That's our Valentine love story.